Oh man, that's brilliant. So I think in terms of your timeline, we got ourselves to a de novo that was happening in 2019. You said you were in business school at the time. What has happened since then?
Oh yeah,
Bring us up to current.
yeah. So started a group in Georgia. It's going really well.
Oh
We
hey,
yeah,
where at? Approximately.
all over Greater Atlanta.
Okay,
Um,
just Atlanta.
so yeah, just Atlanta.
Very small area. Very nice.
Yeah, and that's been a de novo strategy, largely.
Okay.
And so I kind of took my de novo playbook, brought it into a different market, where I studied. I like I wrote a Twitter thread on this actually,
Hmm.
and the reason why I moved into the market. But that's been a big. That's basically my biggest growth. Now I like the South a lot. I like some of these smaller cities. Northeast is saturated, frankly. And there's a lot more white space in other markets. And so being able to take this playbook and kind of go around, I have fantastic operators that I partner with.
Hmm.
Um, and that's, I think, the biggest key. And then from there, you really evaluate the business model, the payer mix. I negotiate reimbursement rates. That's something I didn't mention.
Hmm.
Um, but that was a big part of our growth in 2018, 2019. I went to all the payers. I renegotiated 95% of them successfully, and that's critical. And it's really tough to do as an independent dentist. And I'll certainly get into that. It's a big part of what I'm doing today, which is
Okay.
the next big thing that I'm working on, which is my software company. I'm working with a team of really talented engineers, ex Google, ex Microsoft guys. Got connected with them about a year ago, and we've been building pretty head down. And I'm happy to take this wherever you want, Tyler. But so I'm
Oh,
moving into the multi-state services business strategy,
mhm.
and then I'm building this software right now, and that's probably taking up the majority of my time.
Yeah, I see. Okay. So, before we get into software stuff, because I think that's actually really interesting, and also the renegotiating reimbursement rates as well. So, what is on an operational level now, managing all these different practices that are now multi-regional? How does that look in terms of your business structure and your organizational structure and all the people that are sort of working with you? How do you
Yeah,
structure that and organize it?
yeah. So kind of top down, I have like really talented operators that
Right. Okay.
I've worked with for years, and this is something that you cannot skip if you want to do something like this. In my opinion, you have to have talent on your team. You have to have people that you trust, to the highest level, and that through the sweat and time
Yep.
and mutual commitment that you guys have shared, that they're going to make a decision just like you'll make a decision, and they're completely aligned. But that's kind of from a top down. So really, really talented operators that are doing the majority of running the business at this stage.
Okay.
And I kind of chip in where I can bring in like some asymmetric value add. Whether it's hiring a dentist because I can talk the language, obviously, or whether it's a marketing or obviously anything financial related, bringing in capital into a new project, legal, just kind of things where I can quickly bring basically capital, marketing plugs, talent, things like that, just high level scale stuff. And then they just crush it. They're awesome, and I think that as a rule of thumb, if you're a dentist and you want to be in the entrepreneurship game,
Hmm.
talented quality operators are like your right and left arm in this field. So that's been really important. And and that's kind of what I do now with the services business. We're growing, and we're training, we're recruiting quality operators. There's just a lot of opportunity in this space that guys in sales, guys that might be working corporate jobs, again, they
Hmm.
can just have more upside and have a more fulfilling career, more freedom, more financial flexibility, and that can create a really good opportunity.
Yeah, can you define a little bit about what that operator role is? Who are these people? Are they? I take it they're not dentists then. And
No, so the
okay,
operator, yeah, so the operator of the business, they run that market. So
okay,
basically, the operations of that market, I should say. So
okay, okay.
staff, HR, payroll,
Understand.
accounts payables, the water leak, in chair 5 at this location, whatever the heck it is, like
Hmm. Hmm.
that is an everyday thing, right?
Yeah.
and that's important. And then I have, either amazing dentists who are associates or partner dentists at individual practices or within multiple practices. And I am really, really agnostic to the model. I just want to find, mutually beneficial, aligned engagements and ways that I can provide asymmetric upside to my partner's career or a dentist's career, and for them to kind of fulfill their own goals and for them to have the best opportunity possible. And so I have multiple models that I employ.
Okay, I understand. And do you kind of onboard those operators personally, or what is that sort of process like?
Yeah, so I mean, look, I've got 3 main operators right now. I worked with all these guys at the lowest level. One used to work at Dell, one used to work at IBM. So doing sales, so kind of fitting that mold, and so smart guys, really smart guys, and honestly they crush it. D1 athlete, one's a D1 athlete, he's a complete stud. Yeah, so from there, they learn the game inside out, right? Because they're not coming in from dental, they're not coming in in healthcare, but it's not rocket science. Like, you can figure it out if you're a smart person or even semi-competent. And so you learn the game for, a year, 2 years. And then from that point forward, like, take on more responsibility, go. Like, I don't want to be in your face. I don't want to be babysitting you. Like, I trust you, you trust me, let's do it. And from that point on, we just start growing.
Wow. Yeah, that is so awesome. So at any point along this process, were you actually being a clinical dentist in any of these practices?
No. So I never have really dived into clinical dentistry. It's the one thing I haven't done. Honestly, I went into dental school and then I didn't even if I wanted to, I wouldn't have had the time because that first practice, even just with that first practice, I probably wouldn't have the time just because there were so many fires to put out and so much to fix. And then from that point to graduation, obviously added practices. And then, you only have 24 hours in a day, X hours you're working. And so you have to allocate that efficiently, and practicing just didn't make sense for me given my skill set and what I was good at and could bring to the table. And then obviously after dental school, I went to business school. And so again, I'm not practicing, I'm allocating my time elsewhere. And now it's really for me, just finding, how I can reach and impact as many people at scale. And that's, dentists and achieving their goals, and that's patients and getting exceptional care. And so again, that's for me, that just hasn't been it. But, I think there's dentists that do both, and I think that's exceptional. You can really do whatever the heck you want. So
Absolutely.
there's no one playbook. Like, it's not like, oh shoot, if you want to go grow a business like this, you have to be non-clinical or not chair side. That's just not true. You can do whatever the hell you want. Just figure out what works for you.
Yeah, I mean, you seem so well aligned with what your strengths and your interests are. And I think it's great that you identified that so early. So was that something that you kind of knew? I mean, you had figured out by the summer of D1 that I guess you were not really necessarily intent on being clinical at any point. You were trying to build a business that was going to be working for you by the time you got out, right?
Even before that, honestly, because I went to Penn to go to business school there. So Harvard and Penn were my 2 top choices, not because of the dental schools, honestly, cool schools, but because of the business schools. And that was the reason I went to Penn. Frankly, I got into other schools and did not take lower tuition, which a lot of people would think is foolish to pursue this opportunity. So I knew going into school, honestly, when I was in undergrad, maybe even high school, that this is kind of what I wanted to pursue. So to your point, I've had a focus, but really up until recently, COVID happened, and I've refocused completely. I think I need something like COVID because I had been in this straight line, and to somebody listening that might be in dental school and wow, this is so much stuff going on, this was a straight line. This wasn't something where, I'd gone off my own path. It's something that I expected to do. I did, and I was doing and figuring it out. But COVID happened, and then I really my mentality switched, honestly. Seeing kind of the world just go raw and everybody just starts making it up. It just made me really start to rethink some of my structures, my models. That's frankly how I got this dual operator model. That's a pretty recent thing going. That's how I started this, really launched. I was like, I got to build this software business and really committed to that. And that kind of took me on a completely different path. I know it's a lot there, but before school, I really knew that
Okay.
I wanted to go in the world business.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, you just represent so much of a, like, you are a new, like, extreme pole along, like, the spectrum of, the business to the clinician, right? Like, every dentist kind of falls somewhere along that spectrum. And, I feel like I kind of fancy myself somewhere, to the right of center, towards business, but I, still, like, see myself as a clinical dentist. But, like, I feel like, you can be the new definition as far as shared practice is concerned, of someone that has been aligned with the business side of things from the very beginning and has been very intentional about that. So you did mention that you had gotten very involved in renegotiating fee reimbursement. So, excuse me, fees for reimbursement. And I want to go into that because I'm aware of some, services that, help people out with this. And there's different companies that you can go to for that. What inspired you to do that yourself? What did you like about it? How did that come about?
Yeah, man, these insurance companies, they make so much money, man. They make so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And really understanding the hardships that we, like most dentists and practices, have in dealing with insurances. Maybe you really want to take a closer look under that, or a closer look into that view and figure out, really how things work. And it really is my interest that really piqued me. And what the exact insurance model is, what the premiums are, figure out the entire freaking waterfall, not just look at it from this, okay, this is where we are in this stage of the insurance dollar flow and the claims and this process. Like, no, actually figure out, how they're getting membership, how they're building their own businesses, and kind of take it all the way down into, a claim reimbursement, a copay, and, services you could provide. So I think that was really just my curiosity. I just really wanted to understand how it worked. And then at school, at business school, a couple buddies in my healthcare management cohort, one used to work at Cigna, the other one used to work at Aetna. I sat down with them for about 45 minutes just to get a high level overview of, like, hey, if you were me and you got to go talk to these guys, what would you do? And from that point on, I kind of just took that advice. I commingled it with my data, with everything dental specific. They're coming from the medical insurance world, so it's slightly different, but a lot of things still hold the same. And I went, I attacked, and I went one insurance company after another, and was largely successful. Now, part of it is probably the data I presented and the negotiation skills and tactics and all that. But a big part of that's also probably, not having negotiated those rates in, 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, and kind of just skirting along and seeing, that much patient volume and not doing that. So you do have leverage there.
So what do you recommend then for, the listener out there that wants to know what they need to know about reimbursement rates and renegotiating that sort of thing? What do they need to know about it?
All right. So insurances they're oligopolies, right? There's a handful of dental insurances, and they control the market. This narrative has been discussed, I'm sure, on your podcast and many times, right? And you are fundamentally at a massive point of, like, little to no leverage when you talk to insurance companies. Typically, you're working in a practice that's, in a city or within an hour outside of the city. There's, people there and dentists there that already exist. And, the insurance company doesn't necessarily need you, and you need them. So, forget that we're even talking about insurance companies. Just think about life, right? You don't need somebody, but they need you. Like, what do you think is going to happen? So given that dynamic, it's really freaking difficult for a new dentist or a solo dentist to negotiate successfully at a high level with an insurance company. Because forget about also just the little to no leverage. It's also very costly in regards to time, and it takes a dedication and a knowledge of insurance reimbursement models and a bunch of other things. And so given those two things, it's just something where typically, like, I've seen dentists, like you said, Tyler, they'll go to, one of these PPO companies or whatever, and they'll say, hey, like, we'll do these fees for you. And, that company will know how to talk to an insurance company and get you like a marginally better fee schedule, and everybody's happy. But in reality, you're still getting screwed.
Just a little less.
Yeah, just a little less. Right. I mean, yeah. So you need volume, you need claims right. volume, you need geographic density. Okay. It doesn't do you any favors if you have a practice in Oregon, Pennsylvania, Miami, and Austin, Texas, and you're seeing a lot of patients because you don't have geographic density. Healthcare is a local game, and memberships are a local game, and insurance companies play local games. So you have to have some leverage in a market that you participate in. And from that point, if you can show your claims volumes increasing and the growth rates, your membership or number of members you're serving annually, and those growth rates, your projections on growth, yourself, and the members you want to serve for this insurance company, and do it together and grow together with that insurance company and be a vehicle for growth for that insurance company. You got to show that, and you got to do it. And then they'll be like, oh no, wait, this guy's actually an asset. This group's an asset. Like, okay, let's play ball with them. Versus you just being another provider in their network and, doing the same thing everyone else is doing. So that's a big fundamental psychological switch that you got to make, but you also have the data to show it. So what I'm saying is it's really tough, if you're just getting into this and, you have your first practice, again, I'm sure you'd like those PPO, whatever companies, consultants, they'll figure it out for you and get you a much better rate. But dentists are getting squeezed, man. And here's the biggest thing, like inflation for things that you actually want right now is through the roof. Housing prices up 20%, probably somewhere where you want to live, going on a good vacation in a hotel, like up, maybe the CPI and, however they measure that is showing like much less than that. But the things you actually really want are going up really, really fast. Yeah. And the government is printing some money. And as a dentist, you're getting locked into this fixed rate contract that you have no leverage on, but you're forced to take on and become a participant in this network. And so, it really squeezes and puts dentists in a bad spot. And yeah, you can start to grow and start to gain leverage and do it that way. But something that I'm actually focused on building right now and is really the key motivator of my software company is to give every single dentist an opportunity to have leverage against an insurance company. Okay. And it doesn't matter what your claims volume is. It doesn't matter how new or how, trenched into this game you are, but getting squeezed by a payer that you have to go every other year, every 3 years, whatever, try to renegotiate, spend your time, get incremental improvement, and everything that you actually want in life and the wealth you want to generate for yourself is all growing at a much faster pace than that. And your cost of doing business is going up. Your lease is getting more expensive faster than your top line growth. Your pricing power, your labor costs are going up because, and every day, it doesn't matter who you are, a hygienist, an assistant, everybody feels it and everybody's rates are going up. You're getting squeezed. Yeah. And this is a big freaking problem and something that I'm expertly focused in right now because the wealth in this profession is, and this is going to sound bad, but I think it's dissipating pretty quickly. And what's the hedge? The hedge right now is like corporate dentistry. And I'm sure you guys are being that to the bone, but like, scaled economy businesses. But even most of those corporate chains, they don't really have pricing power with these payers. Like I've seen some of the contracts that some of these companies have, and they just take these one-off add-ons and they don't really do much with the insurance because it's that much of a hassle. So that's kind of the hedge to kind of deal with a lot of these, pricing asymmetries with your cost structure and all of that to kind of consolidate and work at a corporate and since there's bigger scale, you'll still be able to create, a profitable enough company and margin, and you'll have capital from a PE shop or something, and it'll work. But again, that's such a hedge for the industry and for the individual doctor or dentist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it does nothing for you, and it doesn't achieve your goals and what you want to do in life. And the value accretion in this industry is going to insurance companies, it's going to the biggest corporates. And, again, as a dentist, as an individual dentist, you can do really, really well, but you're playing a game that's an uphill battle. And so my whole goal with what I am building is to even that battlefield, give every single person, every single doctor, the tools, the know-how, the capacity to go out and through the software operating platform, build their business, start at scale, start like you're me. Start like you're me right now, like you have double-digit practices.
Right, like you have
our P&L, and our P&L is no different from a percentage basis.
Yeah, I understand. So, you're speaking to a lot of trends that I think are there's a lot of fear-based talk going on about, how the dental industry is feeling that squeeze that you very eloquently described, right? And a lot of that is surrounding insurance reimbursement. And you did sort of allude earlier to your love for FFS practice, and then people talk about corporate practice and group practice and all these different things, and the long gone golden era of like the successful solo dentist. So like, how do you is the answer to all this, just better leverage for reimbursement for dentists? Is it a change in model? Is it a move towards FFS? You hear all these different sorts of things about how people think this should go, and how people that are listeners of this show, people who are entrepreneurial dentists, how they should be thinking differently about these trends and how they're going to, sort of ride that wave. Like, I know that's a very loaded question. I've said a lot of different things. What is your sort of answer as to how we, keep ourselves, afloat as like entrepreneurial dentists? Like, what is the answer there?
Yeah. So you want to go FFS, but you can't. You just can't, because it's going to be too hard to ramp up in most markets. And you only have so much time, and you have this opportunity cost, and going FFS today to start is a really difficult thing to do. So you can't just opt out of the game right now, unless you're really lucky and you have some geographic advantage, some niche advantage. Most people have to opt into the game. So okay, so now you're opted in. Like, okay, I'm starting a practice at the de novo. Like, I got to start taking insurances. I'm stuck on an acquisition. I can't drop these insurances. And again, what are the options right now? Again, at a high level, it's these corporate companies and these that can accrue and start to get leverage, or it's these solo. You go solo and you kind of figure out yourself. And so what I'm saying is, I basically am building a solution, because it doesn't exist, honestly, Tyler. This isn't working for a reason, and that's the problem I'm trying to solve. And there needs to be a level of coordination here between autonomous, independent dentists that just simply doesn't exist right now, through high quality software and negotiating power that just doesn't exist right now.
And there's difficulties with that too. Sorry to interject, but they have sort of there's issues with collusion of dentists banding. Like, this is something that has taboo attached to it. Like, dentists aren't supposed to get together and
who said that though?
Well, the insurance companies, right? And the different things that are tied to that, right? So I think that's one thing that comes up a lot is it's like, how do we even work together when that's already sort of a barrier that's been put in front of us?
Yeah. So this isn't something where I'm set, what I'm saying is this, like, through the platform that I'm building, every dentist will have access, when it comes time to negotiate fee schedules, to the same formula and same and the backing of the greater network to go do that. If that makes sense. So pretend this for a second. Pretend it's me at the helm, go and negotiate the fee schedules for you on your behalf in your practice, and it's your practice. But basically what I'm doing is codifying that and creating a network. So every single office and dentist that adds on creates a more and more powerful high leverage network.
Okay.
And ultimately, and this is going way down the boat, or, ultimately where I think this gets to is that network just has its own insurance offering. And every single dentist is an owner of that network.
Wow.
And we take back the industry and we take back this ridiculous $400 premium that pays out $200 in dental care. The dentist has to pay $50 to service that $200. They get $150, $200 to the insurance company. Patients not even getting half the value. Mm-hmm. That's just a ridiculous waste on the system for an entity and a layer that doesn't provide much, if anything, that I'm looking to hopefully down the road, and this is kind of big picture meta thinking, create a better solution for.
Wow. Yeah, that's brilliant. Go ahead, Peyton.
Yeah, I was going to say, so, and this is kind of how I'm picturing this, so feel free to correct me if I'm thinking about this the wrong way. But is this kind of a similar solution to buying groups for like supplies and lab and that kind of thing, like having a bigger group to help bring the prices down on, those items?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of the same principles, right? So there's aggregation and buying demand, which certainly helps scale your costs. What I think is different though is that this isn't as straightforward. I mean, so you have like in the dental supply business, it's an oligopoly of 3-4 companies, and you need leverage to participate, against those groups effectively as well. But I think what I'm saying is it's also very different because the distribution of how do I want to say this without losing anyone? So it's very different because insurance is the customer of insurance is very abstracted away, right? So you have this employer that gets headhunted by this insurance company to offer that insurance, and then that employer has employees who can participate and opt into that insurance and pay a fraction of what the total premium is. So you have like all these two layers of abstraction, and then you have those employees who then have this insurances network and then can kind of choose their providers and see, and then these employees and their families, they're not really your customer, honestly. It's this insurance company because they're counting on you to service these employees.
Right.
So I guess that's a key difference. Just because you're not buying a product, you're servicing a group of people. It's just a little bit different. But with that aggregation, imagine this. Imagine if I could tell the insurance company, if we could tell the insurance company, hey, in this market, we're servicing X amount of members through this group, and we're growing at this pace, and kind of getting back to your aggregation strategy, and then saying, hey, how can we work with these employers and to basically arbitrage some costs away and make this more profitable for everybody, if that makes sense. And there's like a lot of modeling involved there, but basically the thought is you help the insurance companies save some money on what their claims payout is through. I feel like I'm going to be losing people here. Through negotiating with the payer, with the employer, specifically independently on basically a plan that's best for them, directly with these dentists. And I think that that kind of dynamic will create a situation where you can aggregate claims volumes and go after some of these markets and drive higher fees, and basically take that 50% premium that these insurance companies have and dwindle it to $100 or so, and you'll have a 50% step up in what's coming to dentist pockets.
Wow. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself because I explained that so poorly. But basically,
no, you didn't.
Okay, look. There's a $400 premium, and out of that $400, let's say the patient gets 2 cleanings, FMX, whatever, and they and the insurance and the insurance pays out, $270 of that, $250 of it, just to be easy. So the $150 that goes to that insurance company and just profit, right? Like that's going to their bottom line. So what I'm saying is effectively creating a distribution strategy where we can aggregate enough claims volume in which that $250 can go up to $300, can go up to $325. Give the payer $75, but get the payer more members.
Mm-hmm.
So in aggregate, the payer is making more money.
Right. Quantity.
Okay. So
quality, I guess. Yeah. Less per, but more members. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Man.
And that's what I mean by going to the employers.
Right. No, that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. I think the larger conversation that I see going on here, and I really appreciate you getting into the sort of nitty gritty of how that would work, because I think that insurance for a lot of student dentists and young dentists is just sort of a nebulous concept, and we have this sort of operational understanding of how this stuff is working, but in reality, it's a really major player in how our industry is trending. And what I'm seeing from you and really a lot of people that are sort of wading into the software world is these really big 10,000 foot views that are producing these solutions that are coming mostly out of software to sort of create very innovative and powerful solutions for everybody that doesn't necessarily start at that grassroots level. Like a lot of these different sorts of dental podcasts and stuff, we talk about practice models. We talk about what dentists themselves can do within their own practices to increase their profitability and preserve dentistry as this wonderful profitable profession that it has been and a rewarding profession that it is. But there are people like you that are seeing what's happening at a more macro level and creating like some really incredible solutions that I do think could be very powerful. And I just really appreciate you for going into that and getting granular about it, but also just making that effort because I think a lot of people stand to win from it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you giving me the platform to share it on. I think that, as a young doctor, or somebody considering going to dental school, like it's a very real thought, or somebody that's in dental school, like you guys, like it's a very real thought to exercise. It's a really important thought exercise to kind of really look at it from that high level point of view. And kind of get out of clinic, get out of pre-clinic, get out of lecture for a second, and be like, wait, what am I actually doing in my life? Like, where am I headed with all this? Where's this profession headed? And where's the world headed? And that's really tough to do when you're in dental school. It's like really hard. Yeah, you're focused in, you've got exams, you've got whatever. And so it's easier said than done, but that's kind of the position I've been able to be in, and that's really, again, COVID really got me thinking about a lot of this stuff, because you start to really realize what a lot of these industries, start to take a look under the hood on how a lot of this stuff really works and how to create better models. Because at the end of the day, you can invent a model, you can create a different game. And so that's what I'm focused on, is creating a better game for dentists, a game where dentists can make more, where, if you're a first year dental student and you've got $500,000 in debt, a first year dentist that just graduated dental school and have $500,000 in debt, you can, with a click, access the lending you need, start a project yourself, or, whenever you want to do that, you can do that. And you can basically do it at a high level. Like that's the opportunity that I'm looking to unlock that doesn't exist. And what are the alternatives is, like, them corporate, find a good private practice. But there's still gonna be a lot of friction starting a business, and so that's the plug. That's what I'm looking to plug right there.
Yeah, I understand. And ultimately, like, solutions like that have to occur, because it's not like every dentist is going to be able to, figure out this insurance game and trying to, revolutionize it the way that you are, right? Like ultimately there have to be, democratized solutions that people can access, honestly, through an app or through a service like that, so that they can focus on, being a dentist. Because, the vast majority of people are not like Parth Patel, right? They're not, non-clinical. They're working within their practices, and they just honestly want to work as dentists, but work within profitable practices and not be so worried about declining in reimbursement rates, just sort of taking away their golden goose, And so I think that what people like you are doing is incredible, and I think that too, you mentioned COVID, providing you that sort of headspace to like get into that and realize that that's what you want to do. I think it's a twofold thing. I think it's COVID, but it's also the fact that you aren't clinical, you aren't a boots on the ground type dentist. You work within the dental industry and you're very well versed in dentistry because obviously you went through dental school. But you have the time and the headspace and the energy to devote yourself to those sort of macro level solutions. And that's just sort of a function of, how well you've aligned yourself with your own strengths and your own interests. So I think that, there are similar minded people that are very similar to you who are sort of on that more clinician type side of that spectrum that I mentioned earlier. And they find a whole new innovative way to do, this or that. It's just not necessarily in the realm of like software, but really, I think a lot of people like you, innovators, are cut from the same cloth. And I'm just so impressed by it, and I'm so thankful that you have spared the time and the effort to come on our humble podcast and talk about it. It's really been incredible.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I hope if for anyone listening, it was helpful. You can find me on Twitter, ask me any questions. I'm trying to share as much as possible, share my journey as much as possible. I think what you guys are doing is awesome because it brings, perspectives like mine and others, and it curbs learning. If I had something like this when I was, in dental school,
that's a scary thought.
It would have been good. So
I think it'd be over for the rest of us, man.
No, that's no, man. It's an infinite market.
Yeah.
Everybody can crush it. So
yeah.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm happy to support you guys any way I can.
For sure. Awesome. So you mentioned Twitter. What is your Twitter handle? How can people find you on there?
Yes, you can find me on there at Dr. spelled out Dr. _ Parth, P-A-R-T-H. And I'll start posting on there, pretty frequently now. I've kind of gotten nudge from some friends of school, like, hey, you should share more. So I guess I'll start doing that. I'm typically just, one of those guys that spectates. But I want to be more like you guys where I'm sharing. So that's good. Man. And you guys are inspiring me as well, which is awesome. So thank you for that. I've got a new project that I'm launching in Atlanta, and another one in like a month. I'll have acquisition done in like 2 weeks. So I'll share all the details on both of those.
Please,
right on my Twitter. So any questions, ask away. But hopefully the goal is for everyone to keep learning.
Yeah, well, don't be surprised if there's another invitation to come on the Share Practices podcast coming your way, because you have a whole lot to share, and I know we only got an iota of it. So again, thank you so much, Parth Patel. This has been a really epic interview. I think it's going to be a 2-part series. But yeah, thank you so much. And, we really appreciate you, and I have just ultimate respect for you for just aligning yourself so well with your passions and your strengths. And it truly is impressive and inspiring.
Appreciate it, guys. The respect is mutual.